the ceiling. Are we going to have a coffee now?
We can have a coffee. Would you like an Americano?
Yes, please. I'll have an Americano.
Okay, let's have an Americano. And while we're at it, why don't we introduce people to my new LaPavoni?
LaPavoni. You've had the LaPavoni a few months now, though, haven't you? So I think you've been practicing a little bit.
I have been practicing, but I'm still learning. One of the things I learnt this week, in actual fact, is that I was keeping my beans in these rather lovely jars at the back here.
That I'd provided for you.
Yeah, simply because they look pretty and very little other reason. They come in obviously a foil pack that you fold up, and I've been feeding the beans into my hopper. They go in nice and dark and oily into the jars. I noticed the other day they were going into the hopper a little bit matte and certainly not as oily, and they were grinding slightly differently, and when I was compacting them into the coffee maker, I was noticing that I was having to apply more pressure than I was before. So I think something to do with the aging of the coffee beans in the air is causing them to slow the passage of water from the boiler through to the cup. So I'm going to be changing the way I handle my beans from here on in, and we'll see what difference that makes. So yes, I've had it a while, but I'm still learning.
Okay then, so how about you show us then what you do to make me an Americano?
Yep, easy peasy. First things first, clear out the coffee grinds from this morning. One of the things that they say about the LaPavoni, which I suppose affects baristas, I've never put myself in that category, is that it loads differently. The cup goes up and turns to the left, whereas with most coffee makers it goes in and turns to the right. For me, that's not a problem. I'm used to a machine that does that, but I only used it at the weekends previously, and so I never really got hugely into the habit. So changing to twisting clockwise to the left is not a problem for me. Okay, let's grind some beans.
Smells gorgeous.
It does. So this is a double head. I put the first one in and just give it a mild tap down. Second one I tend to leave just a little bit of air space in there because that seems to be the right amount. Gently tap that down. Then I take my tamper, give that a good press, go around the outside edge. One more good press for luck. Give it a bit of a wipe. We don't want all that getting stuck in and around the brew head. Then, as we say, it goes up and it twists to the left, which everybody says is unusual. With the LaPavoni, it's not like some other electric coffee makers where you press a button and the coffee will pop out. It's obviously a lot more manual than that. First of all, we need to make sure that the water level is between this top point and this bottom point. You can see it hovering there. It's currently at a pressure of just over 1 bar. It has a pressure release here should things go terribly wrong, and that would pump steam out crazily. And it also has a steam pipe here,
Ooh.
which
Look at that. Sorry, I'm going to come round now.
come around here, which is how we make our cappuccinos.
Okay.
But we won't be doing that just today. We're going to go for a good old Americano. An Americano is just going to be a poured espresso and some hot water from our kettle. When I say poured espresso, the terminology there, which you might be familiar with, came from these kinds of machines. They're machines with a lever. Basically you have a boiler at the back here. That gets up to heat and pressure, as I said, just over 1 bar. And when you lift the handle, the lever, on one of these machines, the hot water passes down through a valve into the brew head, where it initially percolates through the coffee. You should wait for a few drips to come through. Depends on whether you've got the compression with the tamper right as to whether water will actually come through. But once the water starts to drip through, then you start depressing the handle, and it can be quite a lot of pressure actually to get that coming through. We'll just warm the cups through. Takes a little while to pour the espresso, so it could very easily go cool during the process. I've had this on for a little bit, so there's heat all the way through to the brew head. The other most important thing about these devices, a safety note, they get very, very hot. Even this lever at this point is starting to warm up. If you touch anything around here, you will get scalded. Okay, so let's have a look and see how we pull an espresso.
Oh, this is exciting, but hang on, I'm going to come closer.
So initially, let's change arms so you can see. Put a little bit of pressure on the top of the machine because it is liable to move. And then we pull our lever up. And if you listen, you'll just hear the hot water flow into the brew head at the top there. We keep an eye on our cups. Somewhere between sort of 10 and 12 seconds you should get the first drips. Now you're free to start pulling. I'll do it left-handed. A little bit of water escape there. So that's the first one. Now obviously that's not quite enough for an Americano, so we'll pull the lever back up again.
So that would be, what, a single espresso if you were doing an espresso?
That would be fine. That would be fine just for an espresso, but you can see that the liquid isn't clear. As long as it's not clear, we can keep pulling this and we'll get more coffee taste through. General rule with running any kind of coffee is that once it starts going clear, the water starts going completely clear, you're getting the really bitter stuff. And I think we can probably just get one more pull out of that. So engage again, you can hear that little puff. Now you can see the liquid's getting clearer, but still quite full of coffee. Just let the drip stop a little bit. Swap that over. I'm going to boil the kettle again. You might have noticed I've turned the LaPavoni off already. It's not designed to be left on. It's designed to be turned on, used, and then turned off again. It does produce, like I say, quite a bit of pressure, and that takes its toll on the joints. So, there you have it. To Americano poured on a LaPavoni.